Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Autumn and today is going to be my library TBR. I have a huge list of books that are on my library list that I want to get to, and I want to start a new series on my channel where I slowly but surely will be reading those books. In order for that series to happen, I want to talk about the books that are on this list. I live in the state of Georgia and I use the Pines app. I'm assuming in other states they have other options, or it might be called the same thing, it might be called something different. I have absolutely no idea how the library works in other states. For me and how I keep track of the books that I want to read, but I don't know if I will ever own them or the budget doesn't allow me to buy certain books. In my Pines app on my phone with the library, I am able to create lists. I have had a list for honestly 3 years, and what prompted me to start this vlog series was when I started my sci-fi, not necessarily journey, but that vlog. One of the books on there, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I had that book on my TBR for a really long time. It kind of inspired me to go back to this list of books that I've been holding on to for a while and to start reading those books. I am going to talk about all those books here today. We're going to do them rapid fire because there's 41 books on this list. I won't be explaining every single book that's here. If there's a couple of things I want to say about a few of the books, I will quickly say whatever it is I need to say and then move forward. And I'm going to start at the bottom of the list and go up to the top because I have it sorted oldest to newest. The first book on this list is Inferno by Dante Alighieri. The next one up is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I have been wanting to read his most recent book, or his recent series, which is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars and Fractal Noise. I have 2 books on here by Stephen King, The Shining and Carrie. The Library at Mount Shar by Scott Hawkins. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I have read a few books by this author. Not a big fan of Gallant, but I have had this book on this list for forever, so I really want to get into this book. The next one up is Jade City by Fonda Lee, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, Circe by Madeline Miller, Spinning Silver by Naomi Novak, The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. Oh, another book by Stephen King, It. Although I don't know if I'm gonna keep this book on this list because I've heard some like really weird things that I don't think I would enjoy. I need to do a little bit more research before I actually read that book, and it is a chunker. It's like a 42-hour long audiobook, and I don't know if I can invest that much time into it. But it's on this list. We'll see if it stays. My Sister the Serial Killer by Awaken Braithwaite, Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas, Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Tajikazu Kawazuki, One by One by Ruth Ware, The Night Swim by Megan Goldwyn, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood, Outlawed by Anna North, The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I also have this audiobook on the Libby app, so I would like to listen to this and also get the physical copy from the library. They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I had the amazing opportunity to listen to this author talk at YALLFest a couple of years ago in South Carolina. He was on a panel with some other really amazing authors. I was able to listen to his perspective and for him to talk about not necessarily the world building since it takes place in our world, but how he came up with the ideas. It was a really brilliant panel, and he seems like a really nice and fun, and he was really humble when he was up there with some of those other authors talking about world building and characters. I really enjoyed that panel, and I enjoyed listening to this author, and because of how well spoken he was and what a kind soul he seemed like he was, I would love to give this book a shot, and I know that this book has been on this list for about 2 years. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, The Rabbit Hutch by Tess Gunty. This cover makes me want to read this book. I would love to own this book because of how beautiful this cover is. I've heard mixed things about this book, but I absolutely love this cover. The Red Palace by June He, Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult, Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang, Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, Shark Heart by Emily Haybeck, Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood. I have actually never read an Allie Hazelwood book. The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. I read The Lost Apothecary by this author and really loved it. I thought it was a really fun and whimsical read, so I would love to read this book from this author. Bride by Allie Hazelwood. That is 3 Allie Hazelwood books on here. And the last 4 books are One Star Romance by Laura Hangen, Wayward by Amelia Hart, You're Safe Here by Leslie Stevens, and the last one is Toto by A.J. Hackwith. Crazy story about this book. So my friend and I went on a little Valentine's Day coffee and bookstore date when we went to one of the local indie bookstores. This book was there and she actually pulled it off the shelf, and her and I laughed for a solid 10 minutes because this cover is hilarious. The only thing I have to like really say about this book is the way I understood it is it was The Wizard of Oz from Toto's perspective. While I really wanted to buy this book because of how Toto looks, I couldn't bring myself to do it, but I wanted to add it to my library list because I still do want to read this book. I was a huge fan of The Wizard of Oz when I was younger. It's a book that I think I would enjoy, or, you know, at least find humorous in some way, shape, or form. So some of the books that are on this list are the start of series, and I'm totally aware of that. I'm not entirely sure of how many of those books I want to start tackling this year, but I think going forward, or at least looking ahead with, you know, 2026, even though it's just March. But what I think I'm going to do when I complete a series and I am looking to start another series, I will probably refer to this list or some of the other series that I am in the middle of to see if I am interested in starting that series. I'm going to be a little cautious with any of those books like, what was it, Spinning Silver by Naomi Novak or The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, just as 2 examples. I don't know if those are going to be the first 2 books that I would kick off this series with or to start reading this year, since I am in the middle of a few series and I have some other series I would like to read this year. But I think going forward, whenever I create my TBRs and in, you know, the future years to read down this enormous TBR for my library books, I will take those books into account. But I think I'm going to stick mostly to the single books, just the novels that aren't start of series or anything. Okay, so I was editing this video and I realized it was entirely too short. So I wanted to make it just a smidge longer. And what I am going to be doing for the second part in this video is putting everything into a Google spreadsheet or an Excel sheet. This has been something I wanted to do for quite some time, and I have decided to do it for all of my own books, the ebooks that I have as well. And then the final tab is the library TBR. I'm only going to be filling out the library TBR right now for this video, but I think over the next couple of weeks, I am going to slowly start to fill out this. I saw somebody on Instagram do this. If I remember her account, I'll leave it linked down below, but I really loved watching her do this, or I think she already had it finished and she was able to go back to the Excel sheet, which I thought was really smart. I want to do that. So that's what I am going to do right now for the second part of this video, writing out all of the books that I talked about as I continue with this series, or as I read books or add more books to this library TBR and the other tabs, but specifically for this video and this video series, any book that I do end up adding onto my library TBR through my app, like my Pines app, I am going to make sure that I also put it in this Excel sheet. I have plans for this series to make it more interactive and to make the series more fun. So like maybe having you guys pick some of the books that I'm going to read for a certain video, or having like a number spinner and then just picking like 5 random numbers on here, and then whatever number lines up with the book that's on that line, that's what I'm going to use. That is my plan for making this spreadsheet. And also, I'm just such a spreadsheet girly. I am going to do them the same way in this list, mainly because as I add books, they're going to be added to the end of this list. So that only makes sense to have these books be listed the same way. Maybe one day I'll take a moment and separate these books out either by like genre or author's name, but for the time being, I am just keeping it the way it is, as in oldest to newest. I'm also really excited to start the series, not only because I think it'll be fun to watch this list go down, but I think in all of my future videos and like the future of this channel, I will be able to look at all of the books I own in one place, or all of the books that I have on my TBR for, you know, the library. I will be able to see everybody in one spot. And even though I can easily access my Pines app, sometimes it's easier for me to just pull up a spreadsheet and look at it like this. So if I'm trying to create content or anything kind of like that, sometimes it's just easier to pull up the spreadsheet versus trying to pull up my phone, opening up the app, and then having my phone on the desk as I am trying to come up with content. So this is just a way to maybe make it a little bit easier for me to see everything that I have on all of my TBRs. And if you see any words that are misspelled, you know, I'm just trying my best and I'm doing this as fast as I can. So some of these names or words may be spelled incorrectly, and I am doing my best. Those are all 40 books that are on my library TBR currently. I might make a video like this maybe once a year or maybe every 6 months so we can see
the progress that I make, or we can take books off, add books on. I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about that, if I just want to cross them off every time I finish a book, or if I want to totally delete the book and maybe create another little tab that's for all of the books that I have read and taken off of my TBR.
So those are all of the 41 books that I have on my library TBR that I want to slowly start to read and dwindle down, or at least get some of those older books off of this list, either by reading them or coming to terms with maybe I would not be interested in these books anymore. This is going to be the first video in this vlog series. This is something that we can all refer back to when we're curious about what books are on my library TBR. But that is going to conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you've read any of the books that are on this list, if any of them have caught your attention. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.